We are in Spain, in Alicante, and we're recording a mini-series about longevity. It's all happening at SHA because this year SHA and Harvest are joining forces, and we are going to have the world-class scientists and top wellness experts coming in Kaplan in Turkey for the season 9 of Harvest. So thanks for watching, and I hope you're going to enjoy this episode. When ancient wisdom meets modern science and Eastern medicine meets Western medicines. Welcome to the Harvest Series podcast. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Philippa Harvey, a true expert in traditional Chinese medicine, bioresonance therapy and mind-body health. Philippa's journey into integral health has taken her from Yunnan, China, where she studied traditional Chinese medicine, to the University of Liverpool, where she explored the deep connection between psychology and well-being. Her expertise spans fertility acupuncture, bioelectric balance, and how electromagnetic fields influence our health. I'm very happy to dive into this conversation as I'm here in Alicante, the birthplace of SHA, where Philippa continues to bring her deep knowledge to life. Hello, Philippa.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you very much for inviting us, all the team, in SHA and in this beautiful place in Alicante with a beautiful sun today.
Yes, we're lucky. We are lucky.
We're lucky. Yes. So, Philippa, I would like to know, how would you describe your holistic approach to well-being?
It's a full integration of head, hands and soul, who we are, and it's healing from inside out. We're used to allopathic medicine, which is a more, should I say, modern medicine, where the influence of health comes from outside in. So it can be pharmaceutical or whatever we want to call it. But for me, holistic medicine, holistic health is coming inside out. And that's what I love to get my patients, my people to experience.
And what are your core principles behind your methodology?
It's head, hand and heart. I was fortunate enough to meet Satir Kamar, he was a Jain monk in 2013. He wrote a book called Soul, Soil and Society. And he sat there talking about the concept of his book. And it was just like, it was talking to me. It was a beautiful, he became, without realizing, a spiritual teacher for me. And what I was already working with, which was creativity in helping a human being to be more complete, filling in that gap, he actually gave me the 3 words: the soul, the soil and society, and how these 3 things, a paradigm shift, would be needed for us to actually be better people. So what it actually is, you have to use your head, we have to use our intelligence, it's the life that we live in. We have to use our heart, otherwise we can't feel. And the best way, or the back door for me, is cheating the body, is by using our hands. And that's our creativity. And that's basically, for me, the sole thing that human beings have compared to other living beings. Wow. So that's my completion of head, heart and the hands.
And how does it translate in your practice? For example, if I was your client today, how would it work with you?
Fortunately, and I am a traditional Chinese medicine. So the excuse is, I would take your pulse and I would look at your tongue. I call it an excuse because over years and years of practicing with human beings, you can download very quickly the systems in which they're in. So the good thing about touching somebody, you can feel what's going on, and you learn over the years of what's going on with the pulse in Chinese medicine, so what organs may or may not be affected. So that gives us a paradigm to sit with. Then we look at the tongue, which reinforces a little bit also what's going on. And you tend to say, okay, what's going on with the anger? And they look at you, what are you talking about?
Wow.
And this then gives you the aperture to talk about, for example, that emotion that's blocking, that's making that person a little bit out of sync and not happy. So then if we're going to discuss anger, we're going to be discussing liver, why this is affecting us. There's always a correlation of organ and emotion. That's 100% my belief. And then we'd look at how we're going to manifest this anger. Of course, you can't always have anger management, but we do then maybe a workshop just on anger, in which every workshop or every experience for my people, the people who work with me, have to be some connection with creativity. So should it be a workshop on anger, we'd end up working with wood. And wood is the element that would associate with the rigidity of a tree, of not moving. And wood is the element that goes with the organ. So we end up doing things with wood. It tends to happen in a workshop with one emotion for anger is we will end up, the person will be working away, meditating. It is a meditation, working with the wood, and then they start really expressing their anger. They really, and they start. It starts to come up.
You can have 10 years of accumulation.
And it's space. It's about space, and using our hands. We're coming out of our head, we're coming out of our feelings, and we're really becoming to something manual. And giving it that space, and it's very important.
And where is the anger stuck in the body? Is it in the hips, or is it different for men and women, or for anybody?
It's a very good question. Anger can normally will translate into weakness in the liver.
Okay.
People drink, they get angry, and these things float up. It tends to be physiologically in the liver,
okay.
But emotionally, it's something that's quite. It's like a toxicity that will pop up when you least expect it, because we haven't dealt with it. It's still there in the brain, it's still hardwired. So whatever things may trigger your anger is just going to make us angry. So we have to get to the root of it, which really is like playing with wood, playing with something. Yeah.
And I guess amidst all the emotions, you're talking about anger, because this is really something as a child where we are used to repress anger. This is like such not a polite thing. This is the first thing your parents would tell you, like, don't be angry. Like, it's a repressed emotion.
Absolutely. I mean, you're playing with your toys, you're happily enjoying your toy, your brother, your sister comes along, your sibling takes it away, you scream and shout, you come back, so you've got to share. So I don't want to share, I'm actually quite angry about you taking my toy. I was quite happy. So there's, from childhood, there's a huge confusion of what is emotional. We come back to where the body keeps the score, very beautiful book, where literally if we don't deal with these emotions, whichever they are, they are stuck. And that feeling, which is at first, we don't really know what anger is, but that feeling gets confused with other things. And then we don't know, in my case, my mum was a feeder. So every time we had to eat when she wanted us to eat, and it was still today, is a conflict with my mum that I'm not hungry, mum. Yes, you are, it's time to eat. So I'm not hungry. And once she made me sit at the table and just she had to see me eat. But this is so confusing when we're growing up, when we're really not in tune with what these feelings actually are. So hopefully by the time we get to my age and our age, we can actually start dissecting a bit that anger, that frustration, the fear, and happiness is also it's a beautiful. We're a beautiful synergy of emotions. Human beings tend to say one emotion is negative or positive. They are not. No emotion is in a good drawer or a bad drawer. An emotion is not good for you is when it's blocked.
Why? So
feeling angry, being coherent with that feeling. I'm feeling angry. Okay, what's a solution? I call it a 2-second rule. Breathe, very Buddhist. Feel the anger and put it away for a moment where you can deal with it. Being angry with anger is just going to create fire and exploding. So it's the same with every emotion. If you're afraid, 2-second, I'm afraid, what can I do? I put it away for a second, because if I need to react now in a different way, and then we deal with it. We don't let it block. So emotions are there, thank goodness, to keep us alive, to keep us surviving, and to carry on in a happy way, and living and not surviving. So that's the idea.
That's beautiful. And fear is what? Is the lungs or the heart?
Fear is kidneys.
Kidneys, okay.
Yeah. And kidneys are a beautiful organ. It's, I call it, it's like the origin of if we had a universe, if we believe in God, believe in whatever source you want to, we're given that ball, and the kidney's job is to look after it. So for women in particular, we lose a lot of kidney chi, a lot of kidney energy by giving birth, by a menstrual cycle. So as we get older, especially when we come to menopause, we really have to look after this kidney chi, like a golden ball of energy, which is very, very important. We look after that. So a lot of fear stays stagnant in us. So it's important also to worry, not to worry, and to work the fear is very important.
So if you work on your fear, or if you work on your anger, you can check like medically that the liver or the kidney are doing better?
I'm going to be shocked for this, but yes, I do believe so, okay? Because before any illness happens, in my 20 years in this, it's emotional blockage that will create an illness or a disease, okay? So when I speak to lots of people, and I work with oncologists, when we talk about illness, the pattern in which somebody becomes sick, and we'll talk about cancer because it's a big C and no one likes to talk about it, they call it cancer of whatever, breast cancer or whatever, but the pattern which how that person has become ill is totally different to each person. So traditional medicine sees the person as a holistic, as a full being. We know that illness is not just one path. If it was one way, if cancer was just one thing, if heart problems was just one thing, then we'd know how to heal it. Mm-hmm. So everybody is unique and every pattern of illness is different. So we have to see what that person's pattern, what has happened to that person over the last 25 years that has actually created this block, emotional and then physical, to illness. Okay, so disease for me is not being in ease, which is emotion, which is emotions not in movement.
Okay.
So stagnation is illness.
Do you play on the meridians,
Yes.
like in Chinese medicine?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's
yeah.
Even when you're sick, or is it more before being sick that you do the meridians?
With checking the pulse?
No, on the meridians, pressing some meridians.
Oh,
like
if you
in
do,
acupuncture.
you could do.
You could do it yourself.
You could do it yourself. Absolutely, yes. The whole idea. Hopefully, my aim is when anybody leaves me is they have autonomy in their health.
So you give a manual to people?
Yeah, or talk about it. And when people come to see you and they look at you, they want you to give them the solution, okay? We can't, none of us can. They have the solution. We're just a tool with a knife that cuts the bread, but I can't help you eat the bread, okay? So it really is something that we have to understand, that we are so miraculously amazing human beings, energetically speaking, cellular speaking. So it's lovely if we just let the space for your body to heal. Working here in SHA, the privilege of seeing people giving themselves the space. And I don't know if you know, Kay Ryan is a beautiful modern American poet. And she wrote that, she said that space, you have to be very brave to give something space, because then there's time to heal, or there's time to feel. And I love the way that she just did a beautiful poem about it, and it's so true. So when people come to places like SHA or to Harvest, you're giving your body that space. Yeah. That it's okay to feel sad, actually. It's okay to feel all over the place. It's okay to feel I don't even know what's going on, because we live in busy therapy, which is constantly running around, constantly doing thousands of things, everyday life. So give yourself the self-care by giving you the space to know what's going on emotionally, that 2-minute silence or whatever. Very important.
Can you tell me how you ended up in Yunnan? Well, you're British.
Yeah.
You were born in the UK.
Yep.
And so, what was
it was
the
a
journey?
very long story. Well, I was brought up in Zimbabwe, in a colonial context. We left in the mid-70s, and we moved to Spain, to this area. And I just think I have my nomadic nomadic blood that my father has, the good Celtic Irish descendant mix of passion. And then I had a very serious car accident when I was 18. Nearly lost my life. I was in a wheelchair. Long story. And I sat there just coming out of hospital after about 3.5 months. And a friend of my sister's dad came, and he was an acupuncturist. He was a doctor in traditional Chinese medicine. So he said, I will have you up and running in no time. And he did. He with electric acupuncture, every day he came and he worked on my system. And I thought, wow, I want to know what this is about. It didn't happen. I studied economics. I did business studies, as you think you should do for everybody else rather than yourself. So I think it was in 2004, 2005, when I had bought my house, I'd done all the things I should do, and I saw this traditional Chinese medicine course coming up. It was in Valencia in Madrid, one of the best schools they have here in Spain. And I thought, this is what I've always wanted to do. And it was one of the happiest days of my life. I sat in this chaotic classroom with loads of people of all different ages, and he just started talking about yin and yang. And I just felt my whole system went, this is exactly what I'm about. It was a beautiful feeling. And since then, I've never looked back. So then I studied, it's a 5-year study, then I went to Yunnan.
And you wouldn't even understand the language at
No,
the
it's
time.
all done in Spanish. It's not,
Okay,
it wasn't done in Chinese. In every area, I mean, the best school for Chinese medicine is French. It started in France. When it first came out in the 1800s, it was started in France. We had a diplomat who then brought it into Europe, and since then, it's been a little flag in all of our little holistic approaches of traditional medicine.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But Yunnan, so how did you end up in...
Well, the university arranges it,
Okay.
and so we go to, as part of the practices. Okay. I did think I would stay, and I had this romantic idea, I'd be cycling there too. And then you realise, really, Philippa, you haven't got a word of Chinese, and everything is written in Chinese. I speak a few languages. It's the first time ever I oh my goodness, I am really speechless. So it was a very good experience also in silence and recognition and seeing. You open skills. I do martial arts, I've been doing it for 20 years. So it's something you just move into the vibe, into what's going on, and we had magnificent teachers. And the lesson learned was, until you really see it work, it is in faith. So everything you learn on paper, all the exams, everything you memorize. And I just saw so much magnificent work done in China. And there was this chap, he'd broken his back, and they'd taken him out of holistic hospital, sent him to the traditional Chinese medicine hospital. And they were healing him, the huge bed sore on his back. And within, I'm not joking, 3 or 4 days, I just saw the whole process of healing happening with the natural herbs that they were using. So it was really reinforcing. And then I stopped having to prove myself all the time when I was talking about traditional Chinese medicine.
That's it, because you have to let go of the Western logic.
Totally.
Because for the Western culture, it doesn't have like a scientific background. Right?
But we always come back to this topic about scientific backing. And when I was in Yunnan, we had a fabulous presentation on herbs and on how actually the marketing and packaging was presented. Very pragmatic business meeting. And there was a representative of some pharmaceutical industries, with a European pharmaceutical industry, and he stands up and says, well, why don't you label it the way we do in Europe? And it was so calm, this chap. He said, why don't you label it the way we label it in China? Okay, so why is it that yours is better and ours is worse? When we call someone doesn't have qi or doesn't have energy, of insufficiency, of or heat in the heart or something, we just label it in a way that we understand what's wrong with your system. It's a different system. It's a different idea. And today, if you just put in Google, Google search in the educational Google search, and let's say, for example, we're going to look up traditional Chinese medicine and cancer. There's nearly 17,000 articles in 1 year. Okay, if you look up fertility, there's going to be nearly 18,000. Look up male impotence, it's going to be over 17,000 articles. So it's very scientific. All it is you cannot always identically replicate a situation because we're all unique. And this is what the principle of understanding holistic means. I can help you with a stomach ulcer. It's not going to be the same as someone else has a stomach ulcer because the origin, the pattern of the illness is totally different.
You're also expert into epigenetics. Can you explain what it is for those who don't know and how you incorporate it?
Absolutely. When I bumped into epigenetics, it was like this also wow moment. And it's very boring, my bedside reading is my epigenetic books. It was just like, I'm going to put a very modern analogy. If you were to inherit your old mum's house and you don't want it, you can say, I don't want it. That's it. So this is what epigenetics is. So when people say, my father was this, my mother was that, you know, this, that, this, that. I said, okay, you have a propensity for that to happen, but you will switch this gene on or not. You will accept the inheritance or not. And that is the beauty about epigenetics, okay? If you understand that our environment, our thought pattern, how we eat, our lifestyle is going to make this button or this gene turn on or off, it's amazing. It's so empowering. So when you realize this, you just have to change people's story.
Wow, so let's say you have a narcissistic mother. How do you help this person to...
The child, the narcissistic mother, first of all, that child has to understand that accepting narcissism in your life, in a partner, because we tend to repeat the next stage of our life, is because we need to be needed. Not very nice.
Okay.
Okay, so we then go to the root of this need to be needed. And of course, if we have learned something as a narcissist, with a narcissistic parent, we need a lot of work to unlearn, okay? But it doesn't mean we have to be that. I think most people who have narcissistic parents try not to be as much as possible, maybe to another extreme with their children because of the suffering that we have. But if you go back into a relationship with a narcissist, because we still need to be needed, okay? So that's the very delicate area and a lot of healing to be done.
How do you use technology to measure electrical resonance in the human body? Oh,
nowadays, I'm going to go 150 years ago, let's say, the first ECG was made. So this was, they didn't know what it was measuring, but they saw that some kind of rhythm was happening when they put it with the heart. Now we know, cardiologists know how to read even the tiniest little alteration of your heart rate variability to see what's going on. Everything else about your heart is fine-tuned to an amazing degree. So from 120 years until today, a lot of machinery, technology is used to read electricity. If you spoke to my colleague Bruno, he had encephalograms, read how the brain works. It's all alpha, beta, theta, delta, all these electronic measurements that we're using all the time. The one we put on, and today, you know, it's easier for me to explain this than it did 10 years ago because we've all got iWatches. We've all got these little devices which tells us if we sleep or not, okay?
Yeah.
So this is electronics that we're measuring all the day. Here we have different devices. For example, we have a Prognos. The Prognos measures the points of on your fingers and your toes of different meridian points. And this will give us an idea of what's happening to the electronic system. So for me, a meridian system is an electronic system, really.
Okay.
If I can put that in very modern terms, I'll get, you know, it's not very popular, but it's how I see the body. So when someone comes to me a little bit resistant to traditional Chinese medicine or acupuncture, I'm just basically explain to them, I'm your electrician for your car. Okay.
And so how do you fix electricity when you see something going wrong?
Okay, we can put it in or take it out or stimulate it. So we learn the techniques with the needles. So if someone is low in energy, we need to help them bring up the energy. But the most important thing is associating the blockages of these energies to see what we're going to work in. And then we can, you know, literally put electricity on, put it off, cool down the body or heat it up. There's all these little techniques which keeps the body in flow with the right electricity coming and going.
And if someone, for example, have a let's say, anger issue, you can fix it for 1 or 2 weeks here, and then is it always going to be, or often going to be, his weaknesses?
Yes, it will be normally, because we come back to motivation. Okay, when people come to context of here, of space and dealing with what's going on, we can help fix something within an environment where you feel safe. Addictions are the same thing. I mean, a lot of addictions go because of anger or frustration or sorrow. And so, obviously, in this context where we're looked after and beautifully, it's easier. When we go back into real life is when the triggers start again. So it's nice to keep in contact with them. We try and keep as much in contact as possible. We try to portray that we're available. I'm always available for my patients here or outside. And you end up with quite a relationship, which is very beautiful. I really appreciate and honoured that I'm in people's lives. And if you feel, which I'm coming back to, the anger, recognize the emotion and think those 2 seconds, I'm still angry, or my narcissistic mum's popped up and this has brought back again all these things. So what can I do? I can look a little bit online on how to anger management. I can be creative and manifest it. That's everybody's homework when they go home. Please carry on doing something with wood. Please carry on doing some painting. Please write whatever you want to write and just deal with that one emotion. What happens in modern psychology is people come to you with a big basket of life.
Yeah.
And you have to just say, wait a minute, let's just start with this first, okay? What is the main reason what's blocking you? Generally, at the bottom of everything is actually sorrow. That's the root for me. Yeah. So underneath, because we're sad, this didn't happen, and all these emotions pop up in a triangle form. So we start with the top, and I said, I want to see you now for a while. Go and work on that emotion, and they'll come back. Maybe it's still not dealt with, and then we layer, little by layer, layer by layer. Transformation, because everyone says, what is transformation? Transformation is very subtle, slow, consistent. It's not an epiphany moment. That's a big non-truth. Okay?
It doesn't match with a contemporary state of mind where we want quick fix.
We want our tablet and get it over and done with. That's not from inside out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so can you share some successful transformation?
Yeah, well, lots. A funny one is, because it's totally a little bit talking about the body's language. It wasn't a direct transformation, but it was really. This patient walked in, and he must have been about, I don't know, 35, 40, no more than 40. Shoulders down, looking down towards them, shuffling in. With traditional medicine, we're looking at the person from the moment we see them. Since I shake your hand in the eyes, it's just, we just download what's going on to help this person as fast as possible. This is the soul part. So he comes in, shuffling in, sits in front of me, we have a nice chat, have the normal, how are things, all the conversation, married, not married, all the general, what's going on. So I look at his pulse, and look at his eyes, and look at his tongue, and this is just not coinciding, something's not right here. And he's sitting there, and I looked at him, I said, what are you doing? He looked at me. I said, your pulse is fantastic. You have an amazing energy. You're full of life, and you come shuffling in here. And he sat up and he looked at me and said, I'm a psychologist.
And he was ashamed.
And I said, you don't have to be. You'll become ill. I said, but I have to be this in my work. I said, you don't. So this is really, this slight transformation of we become a role.
Okay, yeah.
In life, okay? And as you get older, you want to try and get rid of those coats.
And how did you change him?
He went out walking proud to be a psychologist and walked out really happy. And we came back a few more sessions, but we dealt with he was just feeling no energy. But of course you can't, you're blocking yourself completely. And he went out beautiful, really beautiful. And I'm sure he's a great psychologist too. And better for him and his patients, because it's about being authentic and genuine, and that creates trust.
Can you explain how the principles of fire and water in alchemy relate to health and wellness?
Okay, I love the topic of alchemy because it's the origin of everything. Fire and water are a triangle up and a triangle down. And we can call, there's always a toxic side to fire, too much heat. Okay, so someone who has fire in their heart, can be passionate, but then too much will actually affect your circulation and literally your heart. And then, so we have to keep heat on the right level, and then we'll always compensate it with water. Water is one of the most unspoken about elements in the human body. Okay, and we talked about before how important water is. Have you heard of Emoto, Masaru Emoto? He wrote a book on the, I think it's The Secrets of the Water, and I recommend it to anybody.
Okay.
And 70% of us are water. And he went on to explain that he did lots of experiments. He had rainwater, dirty river water, and snowflakes, which he froze and he photographed. And depending on how this water was treated, spoken to, shouted at, okay, they changed form. So he was very adamant about saying how important it is, how we choose our words in our life, how we choose our own internal dialogue. Literally, this is the worst part. The outside we can manipulate and change, but our internal dialogue is so important on how it affects our water. Literally, 70% of us is water.
Wow. Yeah, I think I saw some pictures of the
water
water changing.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely crazy. A lot of people have done lots of work since then, but he was the first chap who just thought, wow, there's something really here.
So if I were to ask you, well, one advice, it would be to be kind with ourselves? Kind
with our words to ourselves, okay. We might be putting a cream on, but thinking, God, you're fat.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's really coherence, head, heart, and hands. Be in alignment with what you think, what you feel, and what you do.
Wow. Yeah. Do you have a point to advise to people? So we need to be aware that it's also audio. Every morning and every night, would you have a routine that will work for everybody to press yourself like somewhere in the hands or in the feet?
I tend to do first aid for your hands, okay? Because the hands will easily have access to this. If we're going into a meeting and we're stressed, the mere fact that you are actually thinking about my stress, thinking about I'm uncomfortable, is half the battle.
Okay.
If we walk in the wall and it's all over the place,
unaware.
then we're unaware of how stressed we are, then it is harder to recover. So literally, I'm going for a meeting, I'm feeling stressed, I don't know what's going on, so that 2-second rule, just breathe what's going on. I'm afraid, I'm still angry from the conversation I had with my partner as I was about to walk out, all these things that happen in daily life. So if you just give yourself those 2 seconds, and if you hold your hands, you're centering yourself. Okay, we're coming back into my body, we're coming back into taking control of the situation, because we don't know what's going to go out in the meeting, we only know what's going on in our body. So we're going to take our hands, and a beautiful one is this, where we put the thumb in the thumb area. It's a classic, it's very good for a little bit of anxiety and stress, and we do this 5 minutes. You'll feel it's quite sensitive at the end of the day.
So how would you explain for the audio where the push, where touching? Yeah.
A push is in between your forefinger and your thumb. You'll feel the point actually. So push down there for a couple of 5-10 times. Release, and you do always the other side. This is the yin and the yang, the triangles, the male and the female. Always, if you do one side, please do the other. Okay, this will center you, just the fact that it centers you, but it's also a wonderful acupuncture point just to help you relax. Okay.
I feel it painful.
It is painful. Okay. Because you have a bit of stress. You're tired. It's a long day.
Okay. If you're less stressed,
it's less painful. Okay. So that would be one. Another one will be to get your wrist and your ankle, your wrist, your 2 fingers on the hand like this, and you're going to push in. These are stress points also. And again, 4 or 5 times. Okay, and again, you do the same on the other side. And really, even if you just massage the center of your hand, it's all about being present in that situation. And for children, this is beautiful, okay? This is very good for children, very good for children. So basically, you're just being present, and just those couple of points, independent of what it does to you on the acupuncture side and the traditional Chinese medicine side, it's bringing you into the present. It's bringing you back into my body, in control of a situation that maybe you're not going to be so in control with when you walk in that door.
I can feel it, but it makes me a little bit sleepy.
Yes, yeah, of course, it's relaxing.
Too much. You seem to be a person not stressed at all. Is it because you're working on yourself?
Every day. Okay, this is really why I'm saying transformation is continuous. It is being present in the situation. It really is being mindful of where we are and coming to terms that we can't control everything. It's taken me years to get here. And what we tend to do is we vibrate like that since childhood. We vibrate even faster as an adolescent, and even faster when you become professionally. And it's this survival vibration. It's not the right speed in which we should be vibrating. We work in homeostasis, we're working, but a vibration that's quite high. So little by little, you need to say, okay, I don't need to do this. Actually, if I just do the slower movement, I'm going to get through the day anyway. And this is my meditation. When I'm in the car, drop my mum off to the centre, come to work, I can be all over the place, so I can say, Philippa, you're going to get through the day. We'll drop her off at the centre on time. You're going to do your job. You're going to go home. It's going to happen in the same time frame, but I can do it like this, or I can just do it in a slower manner. And it is an internal dialogue. This is the words that we say to our head. This is the plasticity of our brain download out of survival into life.
How do you combine this? Because I think it's very good when you want to calm down, calm your fears, your anxiety, but how do you switch on also your motivation? Because sometimes when you're too relaxed, you forget also you have deadlines and you also need the motivation.
I am very motivated. I work my intellectual motivation, my physical motivation, but I give myself the time to have space, the emptiness. So, which means I rock climb, I do Aikido, I go down rivers, crazy rivers with paddle soup, where I'm very physical. And then a good rest, or literally just sit on my sofa and read. So you need space even for motivation, otherwise you're just burning the battery out too much. So you fill up the glass of energy by giving yourself the space to fill up the energy. Otherwise you're just a bulb that's constantly going outside and not coming in. So it's very important to combine the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and everything that we do to have that motivation. And generally speaking, if you like what you do, the motivation comes hand in hand, okay? It's fun. Some days easier, some days not.
And do you have a way for people to stop procrastination, for example?
Yes.
Usually when you're like super relaxed, super comfy, and half of the day has already come. Yeah.
How do you get out of procrastination? The first question is, why am I procrastinating? Okay, really, we all do. And it's a little slight feeling of depression.
Okay.
Which means staying in the past. So you're in the why. Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to go there again? I've got to cook again. All these things which we procrastinate about. I've got to finish my book. It's my procrastination story. Why? So if you come out of the why, which is the past, and you ask yourself, what for? You come into the present and the future, and you tend to snap out a little bit about that procrastination. Actually, because, I want to buy a new car, or, I want my daughter to have the better school, so that what for? Oh, okay, I don't have to stay there. I can actually see why I'm doing this. And you could say, what for? Actually, it's a waste of my time. That's why I'm not doing it. And that's also okay, all right? It's a what for everybody else and not, what my needs are. So from the why is the past to what for takes you into a little bit looking into the future.
Very interesting. The last question would be, what's the key takeaway you want every person to have after experiencing your work?
I would love them to go with the feeling that they are self-sufficient in their health. That we have an amazing ability as human beings to heal, amazing ability to live a fulfilled, happy life, spiritually, physically and emotionally, if we have the space to do this. And it takes time, it's not a 1-minute transformation. So every time you see somebody a little step in the right direction, and people come and give me a hug and they say, I remember, thank you. I was sitting having a coffee in my village maybe 3 months ago. And in my world, I was having coffee, honestly. And I was with some friends who came from New York, so we were literally in our little environment. And this lady comes up to me and she says, Philippa, and I looked up and I couldn't remember who she was. I thought, oh my God, it's Teresa. And Teresa came up, she gave me a hug. I hadn't seen her for about 2 years. I treated her a couple of years before, and she gave me a hug and she said, thank you. And I said, what you told me really hurt. I went back to the States, I did a lot of work, and now I've never been so happy. So it was, sometimes it's not nice the why, okay, or what for, but it's that recognition of just thank you. Sometimes it's not nice to change, and when we change and when we are authentic, we lose people on the way. And that's just sadly life as it is, good or bad, but that's just being authentic to ourselves. So really, autonomy, self-sufficiency, love to myself, and caring for myself. That's my message I'd love to give anybody who came to see me.
Thank you so much, Philippa. I learned so much during this interview.
Thank you
so much.
It's been a pleasure.
I think you're going to go to Caplanca.
We are, yes. I've got my needles and I've got my Prognos device. So I'm really looking forward to supporting, being there, and being privileged and honored to be part of other people's lives again. So yeah. There we go. So
be ready, people, at Harvest for the needles of Philippa and the wisdom.
Okay,
thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What a beautiful interview. Thank you.